All right, we're just about through a full week of Cowboys training camp here in Oxnard, California. Bill Jones joined by Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. The team will put the pads on for the first time on Monday, but Mickey and I have had an opportunity to take a look at the team through some practice without pads. And Mickey, just right off the bat, give me a first impression, what you've seen out here.
A heck of a lot of enthusiasm, right? And I thought that these practices were highly spirited. A lot of emotion too, by the way. Now again, they're not in pads, they're not tackling, but I think this new staff, especially defensively, has kind of reinvigorated that side of the ball, which absolutely needed it. And I think the other thing, Bill, that's been kind of cool is, we've heard about all these free agents they signed, guys they traded for like Rashawn Gary, and now we actually get to see them. And it seems like they have upgraded the personnel, especially on defense.
All right, I want to ask you specifically about Quinnen Williams. He's very impressive. He reminds me, not only on the field, but he had his press conference up on the big stage behind us over here on the tennis courts here at the River Ridge Complex. And the way he just handles himself, the maturity that he has, I think he's got a lot of DeMarcus Ware in him as far as his character goes, and what a great human being he is.
What I'm writing for, it's like that press conference that he had on the podium is must listen to. You get a very good idea of who Quinnen Williams is, how sharp he is, how this personality that comes out without being a yelling and screaming guy, a loud guy, talking about how happy he is to be here. They're talking about trying to extend his contract, and he's like, you know what, whatever, I'm happy to be here. I want to win today. And that seems to be this defense's motto, win today. I heard Caleb Downs say it. I've heard other guys say it. And Quinnen Williams is just so sharp. And the other thing, Bill, other than his talent, is his size. They've got some big guys up front now, and maybe that'll keep him from not giving up the most rushing yards in a single season.
You look at him, you got Kenny Clark. I'm just talking about guys who were not in this training camp a year ago. On the defensive side of the football, there are 16 new faces on this defense. If you look at the two deep on the depth chart, including Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary up front on that defensive line, Malachi Lawrence, first-round draft pick as well. You got Caleb Downs in the secondary, Jalen Thompson starting safety, Kobe Durant at cornerback. The list goes on and on. D. Winters at linebacker.
Right, and don't forget Jashawn Barham. He's my guy, okay? They're starting him off at middle linebacker, at linebacker, and I noticed a couple times because he did play linebacker in college, but then he finished as a defensive end. They had some formation where he started at linebacker and he ended up before the snap as like a pass rushing defensive end. And he just seems to have so much talent, and his mindset is of a middle linebacker, not to mention the 5'5" that he wears, 55 on his chest. And I always go back to this. When they were doing interviews, when he first got there during the rookie mini camp, people were like, well, are you a middle linebacker or are you a defense end? And he goes, I play football. And every answer about that was, I play football. And
he's very serious about it, too.
The look on his face, right? And then when they asked him about the Oklahoma drill that he knew nothing about, and somebody was explaining it to him, like, can you do that? And he looked at the guy and he goes, you want to go see? So he's got the middle linebacker mentality.
Yeah. And all right, Christian Parker, this defense. And the incredible thing about this entire team right now is how healthy it is as this training camp gets started. But when you look at the defense, and Jerry Jones, when you listen to him at his press conference about how he feels about this year's team, and how if he can add a substantive piece to this team, he's willing to give up a future asset. Namely, he didn't come out and say a first-round draft pick, but he did say a top draft pick. Can you see that this defense could be at a point with the acquisitions that were made this offseason where if you added a firepower type guy as an edge rusher or whatever position of need that they feel like that they have that it could put them over the top?
Yeah, I think so. And over the top to me is when you're one of the worst defenses in franchise history, can you at least jump to average? Right?
Well, but
if you add somebody like that, you might even be better than that.
well, and I get just listening to Jerry. He thinks that this team might have a chance to
Right.
really do something special.
Yeah, and when you consider the offense, second year in Schottenheimer's regime of running it, if they get some help from the defense, there's no telling how good they can be. But they know that the defense has to improve. But I think he feels like the personnel there and how the Christian Parker is putting all this together. So he has confidence in what this team can achieve. And that's why he would be willing to roll the dice on adding somebody. And as he keeps saying, I'll sacrifice tomorrow for today.
You know, and then he looks at the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year.
Right.
Seattle and New England.
And he keeps mentioning that, by the way.
Who, a year ago at this time, thought that the Seattle Seahawks were going to win the Super Bowl and that the New England Patriots would be playing in the Super Bowl.
Well, wasn't it two teams with losing records the year before, and they end up in the Super Bowl? So they made huge jumps, and I think he thinks that's possible. And that's what another thing that's given him confidence to maybe make that move that could put him over the top.
All right, switching to offense, one of my impressions, especially with as much speculation there was about George Pickens' contract, is what a happy camper George Pickens appears to be here the first week.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, when everybody was talking about it, and I'm going, would you not be happy if someone guaranteed you a one-year, $27.3 million contract, right? And I know he would have liked an extension with a long-term deal. But I think he's come to grips with this is where I am. This is how the system works. And now I got to go out and prove I can do what I did last year again, because I think that was the hesitancy of the Cowboys not signing him to a long-term guaranteed contract, because that was the first year he really performed at that level in the NFL. So now, can you do it again? Can you continue to be a happy camper? Can you continue to follow the rules that you're supposed to follow? And then after that, it's like, okay, now we'll see if we can afford you. Can you come up with another 100-catch season?
And finally, as they put on the pads on Monday, what are you looking forward to more than anything?
To see how all this new personnel on defense plays with pads on. We can do all this stuff out here. It's a little bit tougher than flag football, but not much. I want to see some tackling going on. I want to see if these guys can take on an offense that was awfully, awfully good last year.
All right, Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. We appreciate it. Bill Jones here in Oxnard, California with the Cowboys.